Hi, my name is Colin Ratnam. So I'm going to share a few tips on how to prepare a good CV. So I work for quite a lot of banks, and finally I got some time in my hand. So I thought, let me prepare a couple of videos because I get quite a lot of questions all the time via LinkedIn, and sometimes some of my friends as well who are applying for graduate student internships, or even sometimes as a spring intern, or if you're applying for a summer internship. I get quite a lot of questions in terms of, can I have some tips, or do you know anyone, etc., etc. So finally I thought, since I have some time, let me prepare some videos and upload it, and hopefully it will help some of you all. So in this short one, I'm going to talk about when you're preparing your CV, some of the few bits and bobs that you need to make sure that you double check properly, and how you can make sure your CV stands out. So remember, most of the time when you're applying for an internship, this is a mass market. So what I mean by this is that quite a lot of people are applying. So almost all the students, who are interested in investment banking or some other division in the banking in banking are going to apply. So it's important that you can do few things just to make sure that your CV stands out. Now, I understand that most of the time when you're applying, you will not have relevant experience. But remember, now, as a banker or from an HR division or someone else who's reviewing your CVs, they will not have all the time to go through the entire CV. So most of the time, the top half of your CV matters the most, I would say. Now, of course, there are, it's not kind of the golden standard, but what I'm saying is sometimes they just kind of skim through your CV, and the top half of your CV should capture the attention of whoever is going through your CV. So make sure that some of your biggest trends, for example, you have been part of a sports team, or you have been heading a committee, or you have done some project in the university or even outside university that you think might show some of your good characteristics, such as a team player, communication skills, something that you think is, or even some of your academic achievements. Put those on the top, something like a bullet points. And also make sure that, for example, if you're applying for a graduate job, now, of course, what they would expect from a graduate is different from something that they would expect from a summer intern, because a summer internship is for most of the time it's 3 months, 10 weeks, or sometimes it's less than that. But if you're applying for a graduate role, or even for an industrial placement, which is for almost for 1 year, then they might expect a bit more from you. So if you're preparing a CV specifically for a graduate role or for an industrial placement, I would encourage you to do some reading, on banking or even banking products, or talk to someone, get some coaching if possible. But what I'm trying to say is, if you can put some few points such as knowledge of, and you put XYZ, in other words, just to show that you have read them, or you have done some sort of a project, even in your university, if you've done some specific project that you think is relevant, you can highlight those specific words, because keywords will resonate in anyone who's reading. For example, let's assume that I'm looking for a specific graduate who's applying for risk roles, and if you use some keywords that are very familiar to me, that will resonate with me. And of course, whatever you put, make sure you know what you're talking about, because the worst thing for you is to put something in your CV which is not true, and of course get caught, or someone asks you a question on that specific thing and you're not able to even explain. So those are common sense. Make sure that you just don't put things in your CV that you can't talk about. So those things are very important. So remember, keywords are very important. Now that's obviously for graduates, or if you're applying for kind of industrial placement. Then if you have, let's say you have done some voluntary work, or you have done some kind of coursework, project work, and it's more relevant. If you have that kind of experience, try to reduce other experiences that might not be relevant. Now, I'm not asking you to take off everything that's not relevant, but for example, one of my friends, she was applying for a role, and she had some internship experiences. She had a couple of quite good academic qualifications and all that. And then on her CV also I saw she had something like level 1 bookkeeping, but she was applying for a specific quantitative role. Now, in that case, bookkeeping doesn't have anything to do, because she was applying for a kind of a graduate role, and bookkeeping is more kind of a finance, project. If you're applying for a project management team, that sort of thing. So for that role on that specific CV, I asked her to just remove that, because it's not going to add any value. So that's again, if you have enough to cover your CV and you think, okay, these things I can remove, because remember, when you're applying, your CV should show relevant experience, if you have any project experience, and any other experience, like, of course, now if you're starting up in a university, obviously, you would have done some other jobs, like, you would have worked for a retail store, you would have worked for, done something completely different, which is fine, and it's important that you include them, and obviously also highlight some of the skills you would have learned, from those jobs, like teamwork, communication skills. Those things are quite important, because it gives you, it gives the recruiter the impression that you're a hard worker, etc. But what I'm trying to say is that if you have enough other relevant experience, or even some relevant knowledge, then you can slowly start removing things that are not that relevant from your CV. So that's another tip, probably not that relevant for someone who's applying for a summer internship or even a spring internship. And then obviously, the common sense things, like make sure the spelling is correct, the grammar is correct. Always ask one of your friends to double check, to triple check. Make sure the formatting is good. And then for most of the jobs, don't go beyond 1 page, maximum 2 pages, but most of the time try to stick within a page. And the other thing I see most of the time, one of the common mistakes in a CV is that your address is the first thing you have put, or something like your address, your name, and your email has taken like that first 25% of your CV, and it's not adding any value. If you think about it, I'm not interested on where where you live. I'm not interested in your email. Of course, I need to know them, but what I'm trying to say is, don't utilize the top half of your CV, or top 10 lines to put those things. So for example, your address, if you can put it in 1 line, which is fine, and then your email, of course, and all that kind of things. But what I'm trying to say is, use, be smart in utilizing that top half of your space. Make sure that you're highlighting something that's catchy, maybe excellent team player. Now, of course, that sounds like a common sentence, but you'll be surprised, that someone could like that. Someone might like that. Oh, she or he's just done 1 year in university, and this person has so much of soft skills. I like that. So be smart in putting some skills that you might already have, but you have not thought about it. So that's another important thing. So these are some of the common tips, and I know I was kind of jumping in and out of different things, and but it's one of my first videos, and just let me know what your thoughts are, if you have any questions. And so just a bit about me. I've been in the banking industry for almost now 20 years and done quite a lot of stuff. So any questions, anything you want to know about banking, any specific areas, any advice, just put it on the comment section and I'll have a look, and I'm happy to help. Thanks.